Hey guys, what's up? So, I am a bit behind on my videos, and I know that. And I'm sorry, I had to work a few extra shifts this month, as well as there was a major family event that I recently had to participate in as well. My sister got married. I had to drive back to New York. It was a very crazy weekend and an even crazier drive back. So yeah, a bit behind on my YouTube work, so to speak. But I haven't forgotten you guys, and I am still trying to put videos out like this one. So here we are. I wanted to go with a little bit more of a serious one, this time. Well, they all tend to be kind of serious, but you know what I mean. Like not martial arts related or video game related or whatever. A little bit more on the philosophical side of things. So I am pretty sure Super Pope is, well, no, Wonder Pope, not Super Pope. Pretty sure Wonder Pope right now is very happy. And this particular one is something that I don't really have a definitive opinion on or a definitive answer on. It's more something that I've been pondering. And it's something that I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of discussion on. I don't necessarily think there is a strict right or wrong perspective on this, but it's something I've been thinking about. And what I've been thinking about is work itself. The idea of having to work for a living in these modern times. I'm pretty sure you guys are well aware of the effects of modernization in today's world and its effect on our general labor, our work. It's always been something of a struggle throughout the years to deal with the effects of technology and modernization on things that human beings used to do on their own. We have basically used technology to pretty much, streamline a lot of the things that we do, to the point where nowadays we take many of these things for granted. The many advancements that technology has made, we take these things for granted. Things like farming, for instance. Before, most of this work was done by farmhands. I mean, of course, you had animals to help you out with that, like with plowing and so on. Now we got tractors, we got, advanced digging tools. And, ways of being able to, make it easier and a little faster to do things like plowing fields and planting seeds and watering them and fertilizing them and things like that. And this, of course, has reduced the amount of farmhands needed to do this sort of thing. Same thing could be said for shipping. Before, you needed a whole lot of people to sort boxes or letters, mail, whatever. And while we still need a lot of people to do that, we have ways of now making the service faster, making it more streamlined. We got counting machines, we got sorting machines, we got computers to help us keep track of where things are. So it's reducing the amount of people we need to do that sort of thing. Even Amazon has been making changes in what people expect out of warehouse work. Usually with warehouse work, you got, this one big place full of things, that you have to sort through. Lots of items to sell or, whatever, or store. And somebody's got to be able to move that stuff around, sort it, put it in a particular spot, mark it, and know exactly where it is. You need a lot of people to do that. You need people keeping advanced, records and all this type of stuff. You need accurate records to keep track of all these sorts of things. And now, I forgot exactly the name of the company that Amazon had recently bought. But basically this company is something of an AI company where they've pretty much streamlined most of the warehouse process. Where you pretty much just have people waiting, instead of having to go through the warehouse, look up what it is that they need to find, walk to the exact spot where it is, dig it out, bring it over to where they need it, check it out, box it up, put it away. Now, they got it set up so that these like robots and, computers pretty much know where the item is, and it just plucks it from where it's at and just zips it over to them, so all they got to do is pack it, which takes a whole lot of human beings out of the equation. Now, a lot has been said about whether it's fair, what's the ethics of, having a lot of robots or computers doing the work that people can do, because that means that that's work that people, aren't able to get. Those are jobs that people are losing out on, and hence that means that there's, they're losing out on ways to make a living, to be able to put food on the table. Certain skills that human beings used to have to train for are now being made obsolete. And there's a lot of arguments back and forth on, whether this is something we should allow, should we slow it down, this is inevitable, so on and so forth. But what I'm wondering, and what I'd like to know, is with all these changes that are inevitable, they're going to happen. Human beings are a tool-making species. And the reason why we make tools in the first place is to make work that we're doing easier. So it's natural that first we started with the hammer and the wheel, and now we're moving over to automated machines and things like that to do our work for us. They're all tools. It's what we do. We make tools to make our jobs easier. So if this is inevitable, that it's going to keep on doing this to the point where certain skills are no longer needed, certain jobs are no longer needed, and it's getting to the point where even things that aren't necessarily jobs anymore, we're giving over to advanced tools, like Google working on self-driving cars, for instance. They're trying to make it so that in the future, you won't even have to drive. The car is going to drive for you. And this is supposed to reduce the amount of accidents. This could also, of course, kind of get rid of the taxi industry, because if you got self-driving cars, let's say, somebody doesn't own a car themselves, but you can have city-owned taxis, I guess, or private companies who have automated taxis that you get into. You either type out or say where you need to go, and the car just takes you there. No need for a human driver. So that's another job that's going to be gone. So what does that say about the nature of work itself? What I'm pondering is, should we start thinking about maybe phasing out the idea that you need to work for a living? That's what I'm pondering. And I don't have an answer for that. Because it's a question like that is pretty much dismantling the way we've been living for centuries. Really. For a very long time, it's been a very basic concept that you work for your bread. Whether you're working for yourself or whether you're working for somebody else, in order for you to survive in a society, you work. And you earn something for it. Whether it's, a wage, which is what we're used to right now, whether it's just food and shelter in some cases. Basically, you work in order to ensure your own survival. And this has pretty much been a cornerstone of human society. But with all these jobs and all these things being made obsolete because of machines doing it for you, I'm beginning to wonder if it's going to get to the point where there just will not be enough work for everybody in a society. Some people might argue that way, actually. I mean, you can only have so many people doing certain tasks to begin with. And if many other tasks that, could be there for them are disappearing, there's no work for these people. But they have to survive somehow. So would the answer for that, making sure that these people aren't just simply going to starve, or worse, become vagrants or criminals to have to, commit violent, or, disruptive actions in order to survive? Should we start examining the idea that maybe we should move away from the having to work to live model? And I don't think that's a very easy question to answer, because this is tackling certain core concepts of our culture, of what we believe to be, correct, to be ethical, to be something that human beings should do in a society, what's expected of you. It's usually expected for somebody to have a job. And if you don't have a job, you're usually frowned upon unless you happen to be rich or something, or have a really good reason not to work. Maybe you're disabled or something, or got money salted away. But if you're just an average Joe, you're expected to work. Well, what if we were living in a society that didn't expect you to work? Because we got all these different forms of technology doing the work for us and maintaining a society and entertaining us or servicing us in different ways that they could. With all these different things being automated. I can easily see people arguing for and against something like this. Some people would be saying that maybe it would lead to a very shiftless society where people, since they don't have any jobs and they're not working, they're not really going to amount to much. Though other people could probably argue that this gives more people time for themselves to better themselves as individuals. Now that you're no longer having to work for someone else or, doing the daily grind to live, you can pursue things that you are actually interested in. Or, think more deeply about yourself and your role in society. Maybe people will have more time to help themselves in many different ways. Of course, this then all begs the question, well, if people aren't working for, their bread, how are they living? Does this mean that we'd have to, move over to a society that automatically believes that if you live in that society, you automatically have the rights to certain resources given to you, which would then be the whole, socialism argument. And we know how heated that can get. Does this mean that, maybe there would be some type of community service model you'd have to go for where people do a certain amount of things, like not necessarily 8 hours a day, but something to service the society and then you get something for it? Is that what, I'm just throwing out ideas. Again, this is something that intrigues me and I'm not really too sure we have a really good answer for it. I know one thing that I would find interesting is if, let's say you lived in a society where just about every single last thing is automated. And you got a whole bunch of people who don't really have to work. But instead, all these people are given incentives to basically study or work or research at various universities within their society. People who are interested in science, they spend their days working on science, dreaming things up, coming up with wild new theories, experimenting on things. Or you got people studying literature, researching it, finding out new ways of expressing that literature or finding new messages in old stuff, and research in bettering human life that way. People focusing on music, focusing on whatever it is that they're really interested in, but in turn, instead of just simply making it a private pursuit, they're actually furthering human knowledge in whatever fields that they're in. Like people become full-time students in whatever it is that they're interested in. And they contribute and add to the field of knowledge. That's their contribution to society. And in turn, with all these other automated things out there, doing things like doing the farming for us, sorting mail, whatever, it gives them more time to do these things. Again, this is just me shooting, just coming up with ideas. And I'm not even saying that these ideas are going to work or if they're viable or if they're ethical. It's just something that I find interesting, and I'm thinking it's something that we might want to start thinking about. It's an idea. It's just something that I've been pondering. And I definitely wouldn't mind any of your guys' takes on it. What do you guys think? Is this a wacky premise I'm coming up with? If it is, go ahead and tell me. I could take it. Do you think that we're kind of moving toward an era where we're losing more and more jobs because of automation and it's inevitable? Should we be trying to maintain the job-based model despite, the automation going on? And if so, then how do we maintain the job-based model in society with all the automation going on? Is it possible, is it even feasible to be able to have such a system where everyone, if they're actual productive citizens, are able and willing to work? Can we still do that despite the advancements that are happening? I really would like to know your guys' opinions on this. This is not something that I have a very strong opinion on in terms of, I think that this is what we should do, because I don't know. It's just something that I'm pondering and I find very, very interesting, especially since I don't have a definite opinion on it. It's just something that I think would make for a really good discussion. And I think it's a very important discussion to have, if we're serious about, where our society is going. Because let's face it, our society has been rapidly facing a lot of changes just over the past few years, economically, socially. It's just in so many different ways. Culturally, there's been a lot of changes, a lot of upheavals here and there, and a lot of challenges to old, tightly held beliefs. So having discussions where we re-examine what it means to be a functioning, productive, positive human being, in our society today, I think it's a very important discussion to have. So that's it. You guys got any ideas, whether it's in the comment section or you want to answer in a video, whatever, feel free. Again, I don't have a definite opinion. This is not me going, this is what I believe, and that's it. And this is not one of those videos. So, anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Got more videos coming soon. Catch you guys later. Oh, bit of a sneak peek on the next video coming out. Just if you want to get an idea of what I'm planning to do for the next video. Yeah, review coming up. See you later.